Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to compare the American Express Gold Card and the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. So if you're someone who's maybe looking to get their first annual fee card and you're looking between American Express or Chase and these two cards are on your list, in this video I'm going to compare the two cards and then hopefully help you make a decision that's going to work out best for you. But before I get into that, I'm JP Knowledge, and here on this channel I like to drop some knowledge on you about personal finance, savings, and how to maximize spend. If that's something that you're interested in, please subscribe down below. Okay, American Express and Chase. Now, both of these issuers are going to be the ones you hear people talking about the most because they actually can give you a lot of great value from them. Now, depending on how you spend and how you end up using your credit cards, I think it can end up making a big difference on which card you end up getting. So we're going to go over the benefits of both of these cards, then we're going to compare the two to figure out what works out good for you. Okay, so the first card we have over here is going to be the American Express Gold Card, as you can see right here on the screen. Now, at this moment, there is an elevated offer from 60,000 all up to 75,000 membership reward points, which you can get for the sign-up bonus. You have to spend $4,000 in the first 6 months. The sign-up bonuses last year were like half the amount, so these elevated offers have actually been absolutely amazing. And if you actually do happen to decide to get one of these cards, I will have a referral link down below. And if you decide to use one of them, it will help out the channel, and I will be thankful for your support. Okay, so 75,000 points. Now, if you actually do want to get this, always check out on Google Chrome to make sure that you end up using that, because that tends to be the one that ends up giving you this elevated offer. If you don't, you might end up only seeing like 60,000, but check that out. So what you're gonna get from this card is you're going to get 4x on dining, you're gonna get 4x on groceries up to $25,000 in spend per year, and you're gonna get 3x on flights booked directly with airlines or on American Express travel. Now, the annual fee for this card is going to be $250. So if this is going to be one of your first annual fee cards, that might seem like a pretty big number, but there are great benefits or credits end up coming with this card. What you end up getting is $120 Uber credit or Uber Dine credit. So if you end up using Uber Eats, you can end up using that credit towards that. Or if you end up just using the Uber ride sharing service, you can end up getting the $100 credit there. And then you're also going to get a $10 a month or another $120 Grubhub credit. So the way these credits work is that you're going to get $10 each month in the Uber credit. You actually have to set it up with your account, and in the beginning of the month you'll see that you'll end up getting a $10 credit. When it ends up coming with the dining credit, what you have to do is you have to use one of the services, and then once you use one of the services like a Grubhub, they'll actually end up reimbursing you $10 for your purchase. So that's actually what you're going to end up getting with this card. So yes, there is a $250 annual fee, but if you decide to use both of those credits to the full amount, you actually will end up getting $240 back. So you can effectively make the annual fee about $10. So the card that we're matching up against the American Express Gold Card is going to be the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. And this card right now actually has a whopping 100,000 point sign-up bonus. Now, this one you have to spend $4,000 in the first 3 months, so it is actually going to be a shorter amount of time to be able to hit that minimum spend, but you're going to get 100,000 points with Chase versus 75,000 points or 60,000 points when it comes to the American Express Gold Card. Now, they actually improved this card, and the way they actually improved this card this year is they've added a number of different benefits, and they've elevated some of the point bonuses. They're actually going to give you a $50 statement credit each year when you end up using this card towards a hotel stay that you're booking through Chase. So that's going to be an added feature that wasn't there before. Another feature they end up adding is that you're going to end up getting 5x total points on travel purchases through Chase Ultimate Rewards, excluding hotel purchases that qualify for the $50 anniversary credit. So you can't match those two things up, but you will end up getting it if you end up booking it through Chase's travel portal past that. So you end up getting 5x on that, which end up being an awesome benefit right there. Now the travel purchase, you're still going to get 2x like it was previously, and then you're going to end up getting now 3x, which used to be 2x on dining and takeout services. So it ends up being great to actually get 3x on that. And then they're going to have 3x on purchases when it comes to online grocery purchases. So it's not like the American Express Gold Card where you actually get not only 4x, but it's also going to give you, it's a little bit more limited than the Gold Card. So it has to be online grocery purchases, and Walmart and Target are excluded from that, and wholesale clubs. So it definitely is more limited, but if you happen to have one of the services that do actually end up coding as a online grocery service through Chase, then that can be an additional, really good benefit right there. And then you're going to get 3x on streaming services and then 1x on everything else. Now, this card has a $95 annual fee. One additional benefit you will actually get from using this card is if you decide to use this card through Chase's Ultimate Rewards, you will end up getting a 25% bonus. So 100,000 points end up being worth $1,250 if you decide to redeem the points that way. So now let's compare the two cards. Now we got the information about the breakdown of the two cards. How are we actually going to compare the two cards? So when it comes to just the minimum of the two cards, I think that you can actually, as I just said from Chase, you can get 1.25 cents back from Chase, which actually can end up being awesome, knowing that that can end up being your minimum for redemption. Whereas when it comes to American Express, if you decide that you want to do it for like a statement credit or something like that, the redemption value ends up dropping significantly, and ends up being somewhere near like, I think it's like one, or ends up being like 0.6 cents per point. So you definitely can end up getting more value just from the bare minimum of actually trying to use the card for redemption. But if we actually look at trying to use the cards for elevated redemption or better redemption out there, then there ends up being, depending on what you're looking to try to do, end up being good sweet spots from the two different programs. So I'm going to show you the different transfer partners. What you can see is that American Express has a lot of transfer partners. They actually have the most transfer partners out there. And American Express, when it comes to one of their sweet spots, can end up being A&A. This is a transfer partner that Chase does not have. And with A&A, if you decide to use A&A to transfer your membership reward points over to them, you can actually end up getting really good value. Because if you decide you want to go over to Japan or somewhere in Asia where A&A ends up going, you can end up getting a first class flight over to Asia for actually a pretty reasonable value. And I don't know if you've ever seen A&A's first class, but it's very beautiful. I mean, the ticket price for what they actually count it as ends up being like, $10,000 each way, something ridiculous like that. So, but it ends up being really, really nice. I mean, they end up giving you these awesome seats that are going to be lay flat. They end up giving you really nice champagne. So if you are looking to have a luxurious flight over to Asia, then A&A can end up being a really good sweet spot. It also actually has a good sweet spot when it ends up coming to booking over to Europe as well. He's going to end up doing it for like 88,000 miles round trip to get over to Europe, and you do have to pay more in taxes and fees when you end up going to Europe, but they are connected with their partners where you can end up getting flights over there, and I think it's a pretty reasonable value. So I think for when it ends up coming down to really good value in flights, I think that American Express can end up being a great place to end up transferring over points when it ends up coming to like luxurious flights of like first class and business class flights. Now, when it comes over to Chase, as you'll see here, there's a lot of transfer partners that you see here that were also with American Express. So you'll see them over here. As you've seen, you actually also have Aer Lingus on here, Air Canada, Emirates, Singapore Airlines. But the ones that end up being different, that are actually going to end up, allowing Chase to stand out from American Express, end up being Southwest, United, and then the hotels that are actually on here, which end up being Hyatt, IHG, and Marriott. Now, if you end up looking at what they actually had for hotels for American Express, the different ones they're going to have is they're going to have Chase Privilege Points, they're going to have Hilton, and they're going to have Marriott. In my opinion, I don't think that any of these are really going to end up being worth it to transfer over your points for, unless you're just trying to top out at an award booking that you already end up having a bunch of points in the program for. Whereas for when you end up looking for with Chase, I could say the same thing about Marriott, IHG. I really don't think that the points are end up going to be worth it to end up transferring your points unless you're trying to top out an award travel that you already had. But Hyatt itself is actually end up being a really good value when you decide to end up transferring over your points. Hyatt ends up being one of them that you're going to end up getting about 2 cents per point with when you end up using your Chase Ultimate Reward points to end up transferring over to Hyatt. So that to me is going to end up being the sweet spot. So if you actually want to stay at a nice hotel when you end up traveling, I think that Hyatt's definitely going to be one of the awesome spots to end up transferring over your points. Now, there aren't as many Hyatts all around the world as there are when it comes to Marriott and Hilton. But if you happen to be going to a place where there is a Hyatt, I highly recommend trying to, book a stay at one of their hotels. One of them that I just happened to find that ends up being a really nice looking hotel, and I'm just looking at trips over to Bali, would end up being this Alayla Hotel. Now, this actually doesn't happen to be 2 cents per point exactly that I see right here, but I just saw it and I just thought, wow, this ends up being a really gorgeous hotel. I mean, look at just some of these photos on here of what the hotel would look like if you decide to stay at it. I mean, this is absolutely awesome. If you decide you want to go, like a honeymoon or some type of special trip with a loved one, this thing I think would actually end up being a really cool place to go to. But as you can see here, this one will end up being 30,000 points. Now you can end up getting what I think to be a really, really nice looking room. So if you are looking for something relaxing, this would end up being a cool place to go. So that's, at least in my opinion, what I actually think is going to end up being the sweet spot for when it ends up coming to transferring your Chase points. So now back to the beginning question that we had. Chase Sapphire Preferred versus the American Express Gold. So I don't think it's as simple as one is better than the other. I mean, for myself, I actually happen to have both the Chase Sapphire Preferred and I actually happen to have the American Express Gold card. So having both of these cards, I think has benefited me, and I'm happy to have both of these cards. But I understand that not everyone wants to have a lot of credit cards. So if you're someone who decides you only want to have one of these two cards, the way I think of it is this, is that if I was to recommend one of these cards to someone, I would actually end up recommending the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And the reason why, one, because that sign-up bonus is as high as it is, and two, I think that it is easier for most people to end up redeeming the points and not actually, getting lower value than they should be from using Chase's program. And for that reason, I think that Chase's program for the vast majority of people is actually going to end up being easier for people to use. Now, if you actually understand the points and if you actually happen to be someone who's disciplined, then I think that the American Express Gold card can end up being a really good card to get, and I would probably end up recommending that over Chase, because especially if you're someone who actually ends up doing a lot of spend, because being able to get all of that back when it comes to the grocery store, the 4X at grocery store is absolutely awesome to be able to get. The 4X on dining, I mean, a lot of people tend to spend a ton on dining. And if you actually happen to be someone who is disciplined and make sure that you use both of those credits, you're only going to end up having an effectual annual fee of about $10. Now, some people might make the argument that, well, some of these credits can end up being a little bit overpriced. You end up using Uber Eats or Grubhub. Regardless, it's going to be pretty close there, which would pretty much make the effective annual fee less than the Sapphire Preferred. But I do think that you have to be on their game, and I know a lot of people who end up getting this card and will end up not using Uber for an entire month, end up not using Grubhub. So if you end up not using these services, then you can end up making the effective annual fee pretty high. So you have to make sure that you are disciplined, and if you decide that you actually do want to do luxury travel, then for luxury travel, especially when it comes to higher end flights like first class and business class flights, then American Express is going to be the way to go, because one, you can end up racking up more points if you end up being someone who just uses a lot of spend on this card. So for that reason, I would say someone who's more disciplined and does a lot of spend, I would say that the American Express Gold card is going to be the way to go. But if you're someone who isn't going to probably be as disciplined to make sure you end up using all those credits, end up getting that 100,000 point sign-up bonus, and is someone who doesn't need to end up doing the first class, business class flights, and you can end up using something like Southwest or just like to stay at Hyatt hotels, then I think the Chase Sapphire Preferred would end up being the better choice. So that's my comparison for these two cards. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section down below. I'll do the best I can to answer them. But if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.